But if we ascend in this very moment, I'll live with it.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight, and today I have Sienna Lea with me. She has two websites. One is risemultiverse.com. The other one is shadowsynthesis.com. And I'm very happy to have her here. She has an important message for us. So, Sienna, welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Judith, for having me here. Yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah,
we had to talk to AI to get the show not to tank, and it looks like we jumped through those hoops, so yay.
Yeah, we had to convince the AI to let the interview happen.
Mm-hmm. It's doable.
Yeah, okay. So, Sienna, tell us a little bit about yourself. You started out as a psychologist, regular?
Well, I was a psychologist in New Zealand. I was a registered New Zealand licensed psychologist that worked in their mental health system for a while. I have a master's degree in psychology. Yeah. And then I've been doing this work for like 40 years, and I'm 73 years old.
Yeah, wonderful.
So you can see that this work works for breaking out of the matrix if you work it. I've been doing a lot of the exercises that I bring to people, and I think that to some extent it has busted through the aging imposition upon us, because as you know, we back in the day lived way longer than we do now. And when we were GMO'd, tell me if I'm saying things that need explanation, because I'm always thinking I'm talking to the community that understands this. So we're taking it to the next level. I'm not at an entrance level, but if I'm losing you, just let me know, okay? Yeah, we were GMO'd to live just long enough to be good slaves. But then when we got wise and older and we couldn't do the heavy lifting, you know, then the program is to get rid of us all.
Okay.
So it's a program. And as we clear interference and transform shadow, we can break the bioengineering that was put there to keep us slaves, because we need to return to our sovereign destiny. We need to get back on our sovereign timeline. So you asked me about me, and I mean, it's I've had really a very extraordinary learning curve this life. When I was 16, if I can be completely transparent, I hope this doesn't freak anyone in your audience out. When I was 16, I attempted suicide and I ended up in mental hospital. It's all in my book, Stealing the Moon, by the way. And that was the beginning of my awakening. I'm 73, and that was when I was 16. And I saw the suffering that human beings go through, actually, and I totally forgot about my own despair and became fascinated. And I made a vow in the mental hospital, where they were wheeling in my roommate who was begging me to tell her name because she just came back from shock therapy. And, you know, here I was like, what is going on this planet? What? So, and I just, the treatment and the condition of the human psyche and the way that at least the normal practitioners really were missing most of the whole point of what was really going on, and drugging people and shock therapy. So I made a vow to figure out what is happening here. And I've been on that journey ever since. And I've had incredible teachers that were not inside the system. I mean, yes, I have a master's degree, but so that I got a picture of what they tell us psychology is. And, you know, some fundamental things, the super ego and this and that. And, you know, so I knew that the map as they presented it, but that was pretty useless when it really comes down to what's going on here. A whole new psychology needs to be born.
Yeah,
okay, that's been my mission the whole time. Huh?
I totally agree with that. Yeah. So how would you describe your work today? I know you do a lot of shadow work. inner work?
Well, I created Shadow Synthesis, which is an inner work community. And well, first of all, we have Rise Multiversity, which is an educational platform that is intended to people helping other people, because we have a lot of indigos. We have a lot of advanced souls who came in here to jumpstart the next evolution. And they have been some of the most highly targeted people on the planet because they hold the keys to leadership and they have the superpowers to bust through the artificial construct or the matrix. And these people are in a world of hurt. They are being so attacked by AI, off-world. They usually got baby bumps, so they were in the family from hell. And every time they seek help, people think they're so far out that the straight world doesn't know how to help these kids. They just drug them, put them on Ritalin when they're children, and destroy their neurotransmitter connectors and create mental illness. It's a nightmare. So the platform we have is a point of gathering for us to get healthy, to be in an environment that feels safe enough that we can let our hair down and get down to pulling all of the, as my dear friend and mentor of Rise, Laura Lee Mystica, who I also work with and we're doing a webinar soon, says to pull out this weird shit. Sorry, I hope I could say that on your radio.
Yeah, you can. I have no problem with that. So why would you say is shadow work important? Yeah, I know. But not everybody might know.
Well, yeah, because why? We are trauma-based mind control to run from our shadows like it was Satan himself. And so, okay, just give me a second. I mean, you know, I could talk for 4 days on that. But what's relevant for who's going to be listening right now? Just give me a minute. Because I like to work with my higher self, and I have an incredible team of guidance. And they are way better, and my greater being knows way better than little Sienna. Give me a minute. Can you ask me that question again, please?
Why is shadow work important, especially these days?
Well, shadow work is a double-edged sword, okay? It can, you can get trapped in the shadow. You need a really seasoned guide to go in, pull the information, release the trauma, clear the influence, retrieve the soul fragments that are scattered all through the omniverse. Get yourself back, get your heart opened, and not get stuck in shadow. But the thing is that there are crucial missing pieces of us that are stuck in the underworld. You can say that there's a hellish timeline. And we just did a Chris Keller event on Rise Multiversity. He's an amazing true quantum healer. His course is also the Humane shop. He's brought people back from death many times. He works directly with Source to pull out the Dracos, the reptiles, all of the grays. There are many beings that are harvesting our soul energy to stay alive. And there's a long story how that happened on the planet. This planet wasn't this way back in the day, but it's in lockdown now. It's become a harvest camp, slave camp. And they have to keep the frequency into low vibration because that's how they feed off of us. If we are embodied in our hearts, owned, and we're owning our creativity and our soul force, and we know how to protect, we can create the protection and we can cast them out of our field. And this is what they're terrified of because we are keeping them alive, and it is the end game. And I don't think I answered the question you asked me at all. Oh, you said shadow work. Okay. Yeah, so shadow work is a piece of the puzzle. If you're doing shadow work as the entire buffet, you are in serious lack because why? because we have shadows like subpersonalities. Like, let me just give one little example, because in a way it's so simple, in a way it's just, we are so complicated. We are multidimensional. There's so much going on. And we have to become multidimensional transformational catalysts. We need to deal with interference, off-world abduction. We need to deal with all of it, and our own wounding, our early childhood pain, the inner baby. What has happened in our patriarchal culture, which has been going on for thousands and thousands of years by design, is, and I know some of you know this, but this is the core of it. They have demonized the feminine, demonized feelings, demonized emotion, demonized our psychic abilities, our superpowers, our sensuality, our sexuality, our intuition, everything on the flow, energetic presence, beingness. This is what we call feminine. It's also can be in men, although they've done massive amount to make sure they're so dissociated from this and they run from it in horror. So all of the really juicy life force energy is illegal, immoral, and makes you, cast out and persecuted, prosecuted, hung, burned at the stake, not that long ago, and all of that. So we wake up, we come into the world, we're born on the planet, and we don't have a developed mind, but we do have consciousness, and we do have awareness, and we're immediately figuring out how to survive. We've got our little reptilian brain working, right? And it's going, and we're dealing with people, generational trauma-based mind control, who are cut off from all of their feelings, which makes it very hard to connect and be there for someone else, be there for your child. Children need presence. And the patriarchy has cut presence out of the equation. So we are all in shock, starved, lonely, abused. And in order to do that, to survive, we dissociate these juicy parts and they become subpersonalities. And then we're living pretty much in our heads. Most of us have maybe 10, 20, if we're lucky, of our soul essence, even in our bodies. And we are pretty much a matrix program. The mind control that comes in is really important to explore through shadow work, the emotional control, the soul retrieval of bringing the inner baby who's so starved, and they're pulling these dissociated parts, especially the inner baby, but other ones they can be little demons. We do all kinds of work with inner baby. You go back and it's all about self-love and reintegrating the inner baby, but the inner baby can sometimes be a demon. And it can be full of Kryptos, it can be full of interference. So the enemy is not just out there. The enemy becomes inside. And we engage in sadomasochistic, self-sabotaging behavior that keeps our vibration low. This is all systemically implanted so that we can be harvested. That's their goal.
Yeah.
And our goal is to leave that timeline altogether, to bring all of us back home to our hearts, to open our hearts, and to live our life of purpose, whatever that is. It can totally be done. So I've gone way beyond plain shadow work, which is, yes, we look at shadows, we look at all the insecurities, we look at the fear, we look at the part of us that has chosen to align with dark forces sometimes, the contracts and agreements. I know we're going to go into that. It's all a part of it. And we have, doing the work, first of all, we have to see what's happened to us. We need to bring our awareness to the real truth. And when we do it in small groups, in the inner work community, where we can share, where we're now suddenly we're getting our needs met. We are being listened to. We can show up in our truth. We are encouraged to come from that place. And we have ways that these people are working together. They have 24/7 coverage. They are no longer alone suffering from these horrific attacks and pain. So it's a different kind of shadow work. Shadow work deals with shadow. But the thing that we didn't understand many, many decades ago when we started doing shadow work, and I was a primal therapist in the 70s, doing shadow work since then. And every technique I learned, got really excited. This is it. This is the one that's going to save us. Then it did some, but it didn't. And I even found out that some of these, getting really deep into shadow and screaming and raving and writhing, which you really need to do so you don't take it out on other people and act it out. We are so full of frustration and pain. We're just sitting ducks for this manipulation. So we need to clear. But at a certain point, even that can be an addiction. So shadow work is a double-edged sword. Yes, I do shadow work, but I do multidimensional. I come up paranormal. I don't know what. Super weird shit shadow work. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think our own thoughts sometimes can drive us crazy. Like the monkey mind, the trash talk that is, as soon as you open your eyes. Once you become aware of it and you just observe it, then it resides a little bit. But
we work a lot with that trash talking. It's often it is these Kryptos. I can explain what that is. Mm-hmm. It's background noise. Mm-hmm. It's a background program like ticker tape at the stock market. It is controlling your reality. Mind control is mind control. And they're feeding. Now, they're not feeding things that are preposterous that you go, what? You got to be kidding. Get out of here. I mean, that's where we need to get to with this. But at the beginning, they are amplifying and repeating what your own deepest fears are. Oh, he's not going to like me. Oh, I'm fat. I'm ugly. I don't know what I'm doing. Whatever are your deepest fears or your deepest pains, that's what they're blowing up. They're just, so we think it's us because that sounds like me talking to me. So we're pulling this stuff out of ourselves all the time. We're not taking that trash. If you listen to that trash talk, it gets louder, doesn't it? It takes over your whole reality. It even creates subpersonalities, and it is completely generating the timeline that you're on, that you can be harvested on. Trash talk is huge. Yeah. Because it's a program.
Mm. I sometimes say that just step away from it and ask yourself, who would you be without your story? Because, that trash talk, it accumulates into an entire story where you tell yourself, oh, this is who I am, and that it has always been that way, and and a lot of victimhood is connected to that. And so just drop it for 5 minutes and ask yourself, who would you be without your story?
Well, that's what scares us. We are terrified to be ourselves. First of all, many of us were burnt at the stake for being ourselves. Every time we did it, we got horribly punished. We are here so much wanting to be ourselves because life can't be satisfying. There's no joy in not being yourself. The whole thing is to be yourself, express yourself, create yourself, exchange energy as yourself. That's the destination. It's not who you draw in. It's not. It's who you are. If you are the love, then you are in the field of love, just bringing that beautiful energy to your friends, to your family, and to yourself. And no one's doing that for you. You don't need somebody to think you're beautiful or to vow their eternal life to you forever so you can feel good about yourself. We need to generate the energetic states that we want to live in, and so that we can lift up our world and everyone in it. This is why we came here, to get out, to rise, to get out of this low frequency hell that they have massive amounts of technology to contain us within.
You mentioned one term, Kryptos, and I also watched that video that you did lately with one of your students, I guess it was, from India.
Yeah, Kajal.
Yeah, and I have, first of all, explain to us what that is, the Kryptos. And then I have to say, sorry, I'm just wired like that. When I heard that, I automatically thought of cryptocurrency.
Don't. Cryptocurrencies are great. I mean, not all of them, but I'm totally into an alternative to this corrupt, evil monetary system. And I'm so on it. I have some great programs with cryptos. Those aren't the cryptos. Those are not the cryptos you are looking for. I'd like to read from, I partner a lot with Laura Lee Mystica because she's gone down the rabbit hole to remove interference for all of us. They've done incredible work. They've been pulling this stuff out of people for 20 years. I've been doing the shadow work. So when we align forces, we are a pretty kick-ass force. And I would love to talk to you about cryptos. Well, maybe I can, because she's written it so beautifully here. Where is it? Maybe I'm not supposed to read from your book, Laura Lee. Hang on. Maybe I am. Just opened up to the page. Can I read this?
Yeah, sure.
Because this is kind of new. We hear a lot about reptiles and grays and mantises. And I've only heard this from Laura Lee, to be honest. But this is like the interdimensional CIA. This is the invisible CIA. These are the enforcers that are creating warehouses of invisible AI implantation. You know, they do all the work to keep us down. I mean, you know, the reptiles are there too. We're pulling them out, and there's, you know, there's the black magician, and there's the demigods. They're all in it together. I'm not trying to say this is the be all and end all, but this is not talked about a lot, and it needs to get out there. These are the ones that are putting that trash talk in your head. Okay. Mm-hmm. So cryptos are the worst. This is from her book, Cryogenetics by Laura Lee Mystica. Cryptos are the #1 worst threat on the planet today. They are the dark sides of Drula, which was the dark feminine. The head of the patriarchy was a female. Well, the most insidious female. Not a female like anything we would consider a female, okay? Mm-hmm. Anyway, she's dead, but her work, her horrific work goes on, and that's the cleanup job. I mean, and you know, that's one interpretation. Nobody has to believe what I think about this, but I'd like you to get a sense that these little you-know-whats are messing with all of us. Heads up, so you can deal with it. I'm not trying to scare anybody, okay? So, it's the Special Forces, Her Majesty's Secret Service. So, yeah, the history of the hologram is all involved in this. So, crypto headquarters outside the hologram have been extinguished. This could only be done from the inside, giving intel to the outside to define, locate, and give codes for their annihilation. And thank you, Laura Lee, for leading that charge. She's liberated so much for all of us. Crypto headquarters inside the hologram are off planet on a starship. Our intel on the outside now has the data to help us locate and extinguish the headquarters' entire system inside the hologram. Okay, cryptos are encryptions to change, camouflage, corrupt, pervert, mutate, control anything and everything. Also can encrypt using magic to get what they want, to steal power in various forms, and to maintain their control. There are approximately, there's a ton of them. So the chain of command, bosses oversee all operations and gives orders. Controller A creates new methods of pain, suffering, fear, and corruption. Revise, update, improve old ones. Controller B manages transportation, storage facilities. Oh, yes. Batteries of pain, suffering, fear, grief, and depression, as well as counterfeit corrupted highs, group frenzies, orgasms, and corrupted death energies. Then we have Controller C, headhunter, gets new recruits and makes deals and offers. Reptilians and felines are their top supporters. Some insectoids are on the top of the list too, converting, controlling humans in their life blood. Their trademark is lying, schmoozing, power plays, extreme arrogance, looking good is paramount to them in their agenda. They are very narcissistic. They love being in the limelight and being seen. Many cryptos are archons, the top global leaders, decision makers, corporate heads, mega millionaire billionaires. Cryptos are also leaders in spiritual communities. They can mimic benevolent personality traits and even soul signatures of beings you loved and respected in the past. This is a major hook they use to captivate and then capture you. They use spirituality and or humanitarian service as the front and also the hook. There's something unnatural about them, sometimes bionic. They hook and mesmerize, literally spellbinding, and it's extremely hard to break. They're very sexual and use that energy to seduce people into giving away their sexual energy and their power to them. 90% of the time, this is done in the guise of spirituality. We can talk about the Kundalini later. Our major agenda thrill is to overthrow theirs. One major agenda thrill is to overthrow benevolent, powerful people that are here to authentically help the planet. These people are a real threat to the Kryptos. They can get extremely aggressive and violent and turn on you in a millisecond. Besides getting high off of pain and suffering energies, they are also necromancers and get high off of being around death. They feed off of it and they send some back to the office. Many work in hospitals, especially ER units, and even work or volunteer in places like senior homes or hospice units so they can be present when people die. Death energy is like a drug. They can't get enough of it. On the outside, they appear to be the pillars of the community for their noble work. You know any of these people? And compassionate service. It is all a disguise and keeps them looking good. Okay, I'm going to just read one more paragraph because this is so important. Because when you can identify this, you can really knock these guys out. I mean, we have lots of methods. We do this all day in our shadow synthesis work. When cryptos physically attack, invade you, at least this is what I experienced, Laura Lee. It comes on in seconds and in waves. You feel wheezy all over, strange tingles, and extremely nauseated, which can literally bring you to your knees. Accompanying this is encrypted memories of real incidents in your history or dreams that slam into each other and then start to bleed or merge, making it extremely difficult to tell them apart. Then it twists benign and even pleasant memories into eerie, scary ones that are attacked to off-the-charts, creepy, disturbing emotions and hold you there. They can thrust you into different realities and timelines or have them subtly bled together in an attempt to make you lose your self-awareness, your stability, and your mind. These waves can last for hours or even days and take extreme focus to handle and reverse. It can also mimic any other kind of painful physical attack and can virtually backstab. Recently, I've experienced hive-like rashes, first on my legs, then it expanded to my arms. It itched to the bone and messed with my head. It felt like it was literally driving me nuts. So that's kind of it. You know, there's more. There's a lot more. But this is what we're dealing with, the trash talk. Those are the cryptos.
So in other words, would that be like a umbrella term for archons, demigods, and what have you?
Well, no, but they're all working together. Let's put it that way. Some of them are in, some of them are out referring. They are working together. You know, we don't want to get in a fight. No, it's the reptiles. No, I saw gray. Oh, you're wrong. It was a crypto. Who the hell cares? Get it out of there.
Yeah.
Learn how to not be infested. We are, you know, we're infested with mold and yeast and bacteria and viruses and candida and toxicity and so much. And those, and then we take pharmaceuticals which have crypto entity. They have entities attached. They get you so sick, and then they make you take the drugs that cut off your connection to source and your greater being and make you in the frequency of hearing all of that trash talk. That's what the drugs do. They cut you off from maybe your urges to kill somebody, although they can also create that. You know, they can put you in a frequency of kind of a dead zone where you're not wanting, you know, you're not feeling huge emotional things, but you are now being taken over.
Okay. When you talked about hospitals, hospices, and so forth, I have to elaborate a little bit. I have been practicing Tibetan Buddhism for a couple of years, so dropped it a long time ago. And but during that time, I was initiated into Pova, and Pova is where you learn to stay conscious during your death process and to kick out your consciousness here, yeah, up here, not here, not here, and of course not here, down there. And so anyway, after that, I thought, yeah, well, I would like to see if this has some practical use. And so I worked voluntarily in a hospice for 1 year.
Oh.
But I have to, and I know how that sounds, but I really had a lot of fun there. I laughed a lot.
I'm sure that really helped those people. That's what they need. Laughter is such a healing force.
Yeah. I especially had one elderly gentleman, and we had a very good connection. And every time his wife came, and let's say I was in his room, and she came to visit him, he always said, "What are you doing here?" "I'm sitting here with my fiance."
Oh, that's sweet. That's
Yeah,
sweet. It's horrible how people die. It's beautiful that people like you have a heart to care and just hold space for that transition. That's so important. You know, well, I don't, did you want to say more about any of that? Like,
No. I was just thinking, yes, I can see both sides. I can see how they harvest really negative, dense energy in these cases, hospitals, hospices, whatever. And the other side of that is, even if it sounds really strange, you can have fun there.
oh, that's beautiful. That's what's needed to lift the frequency, because it's at the low frequencies, you know, when we're in such despair and fear and anxiety and depression, that we are just sitting ducks for these contracts and these agreements that tie us into these timelines that keep us in this programming.
Yeah. So
Now, this is so important. But these vampires, there's one, and I won't mention his name, but he's known for his near-death experiences, and he gives all of his work to be at the hospice where he's harvesting their energy at death. And then you know about all the spirit traps, right? And Laura Lee turned me on to this. You know, she's also a ghostbuster, and I've been learning those techniques because when I was staying with her last summer, we got my father and my mother out of spirit traps. They had been gone for, you know, my father maybe 25 years, my mother maybe 15 years. And it's so, I had horrible relationships at the end with both of them. They were so grateful, you know, like my mother had said, like, "You never gave me anything." I got her out of a spirit trap on the other side, and it really released a huge oppression on my own heart. Because, you know, our DNA connections are really hard to like disconnect from. They're just so deep into us. So our family is really important, that we, at least, you know, if they're screwed and they're never going to change or shift, that we come to peace, we come to forgiveness, we come to love, we let it go. So the spirit traps are huge, and there are gigantic warehouse spirit traps where zillions of souls are being harvested in the after death state, and they cannot move on. We can help with that.
Okay, would that be like in another dimension?
Well, they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're crossed over. Yeah. It's in the, you know, it's either they've closed the first and second. I imagine that that's what some funky hell zone on the fourth dimension.
Okay. Yeah.
These are, and people don't know anything about it. They think, oh, I'm dying, I'm going to see my God, you know. And sometimes their God is hosting a spirit trap.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Or they're just going to recycle them back into the slave system. That's another conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so contracts, especially forced contracts. How does that happen, that we end up with forced contracts with...
These are forced agreements. We call them FASs. Forced
Mhm.
agreements is
Mhm.
and this was a discovery of Laura Lee and her team as well, the forced agreements, because a number of them were spontaneously going to this situation where we come in here. Now, if you're an indigo, you came in on the cosmic rescue team. But to get in here, you had to sign these forced agreements. So we kept our fingers crossed because we're double agents. We came in to harvest the data, get the information about what these, what the dark side has been up to, so that we can find the healing and find the way out of this for ourselves, but for humanity. We've many beings here. Dolores Cannon talked about them as volunteers, waves and waves of volunteers coming in, trying to straighten out this mess. But you come in when the D monster, the dark feminine, she set up the system. It's reinforced with her CIA, with the Kryptos. So you come in and you have to sign an agreement. Oh, some of these agreements are unfriggin' believable. I will use only 5% of my authentic energy, and if I ever do anything to upset the control grid, you know, my life will turn into a living hell. And there are a zillion. One of the things that Laura Lee does in her work, and I do in the shadow synthesis inner work community, is we excavate, we break these forced agreements. Because basically we've agreed to give up everything we came here to do. That's the only way they let us in. I mean, it's just like a border crossing, you know, that if you have a really hostile government that's taken over a country, you go in, you have to go by their rules. But we have ways of breaking those agreements. And I have lists of my students have done that. And so I have lists of these agreements, and they're fascinating, the depths that these you-know-whats have gone through to destroy our reality. And we had to, well, we did, we consented. So now it's time to unconsent. That's a big part of the process, because we are actually living those forced agreements unconsciously. People, you know, come to shadow synthesis, they want to heal, and then they keep screwing themselves over, and they can't figure out, why am I doing this? A big part of it is these forced agreements. They're looping on automatic pilot. We are mainly programs until we embody our souls with enough of our charge back in our field and our hearts opened enough to break these you-know-whats out of our field. It's a process.
So, but I would imagine there's more to that than just signing the contract or agreements, because somehow that must be in your subconscious, or
now there's two. It is in the subconscious. It's a pattern. All of these are programs. Just like there's a program playing over and over and over again that's based. There's a timeline that's set in motion by those agreements, right? Every time I try to get a wonderful house, someone else gets there before me. Why? I made a forced agreement that I will be uncomfortable and never able to stabilize my energy, so I'll never be able to embody my truth. That was one of my forced agreements. So yeah, it can go like that. But the contracts are something else. Now, and I want to be clear about, there's the forced agreements upon coming here that you make with the controllers of this realm. Okay. But there are also contracts we make with our mothers, our fathers, our ancestors, usually our loved ones, and that's a different thing. And that's a different discussion. And it's a different process in making it conscious and breaking it.
And how do they affect us? The agreements and the contracts?
The contracts or the agreements?
Both. What's the difference there?
Well, they're the things that tie us to looping endlessly in self-sabotaging patterns that we don't know how to break, because what is perpetuating them are subpersonalities and programs that we're not connected with. You can get connected. You can choose to take the hero's journey into your own shadowlands, into your own underworld, and excavate all of those tangled quantum webs that are really determining your life script and your timeline and your reality. And you have to bust those apart and clear those all out of there, or else they just keep perpetuating like a record that won't ever stop. Most of humanity is that. Just mainly programs running, too terrified to even go within, because we're afraid to go within and face shadow, because we're afraid we can't endure the pain. Because why? When you were a child, and let's say you were violated, by your father, a little baby cannot know that that's even true, because it will give up its will to live. So the survival mind immediately blocks it out, makes it forget it and push it into unconscious. That didn't happen. Even though then you fracture, and that shadow is in there now impacting your reality in many, many different ways. But you're over here with just a part of yourself, because a big part of your energy is now all embroiled in that. And you're completely oblivious to it. But this little child is madly trying to make a correction so you can grow and mature and go on in your basic self, and your, everything's trying to push towards you living. And so the inner baby must be addressed. The inner baby, you need to excavate the contract the inner baby made. And the inner baby makes contracts. This is the primitive. It doesn't have a mind. It's going, like, for example, and if you're an indigo and you have these superpowers, that means you're psychic, you're telepathic. So you can totally go into your mother's mind. You can see where her pains are, or maybe they're fighting. Maybe your mother and father fighting and they're screaming, and it's like, oh, there's no love here. I need to take on all that pain, put it in my body so that they feel good, so that they'll love me, and then I can get what I need and I can grow up. So that becomes a lifetime habit of ingesting other people's negative energy. And then you make a contract. It makes a contract. I'll take your pain, mommy, if you just love me. Of course, mommy doesn't even know you did that. Or there are other contracts, like I had one with my mother. Was a really high-powered woman. She was an incredible singer, but she never pursued that. She became a housewife, and she was pretty bitter, angry, resentful. She was full of anger and rage. All that unmanifest creativity never got to happen. She never got to fulfill herself. And so she took that out on her children. And I happened, in my first years, I was a very talented actress, but one of my talents is surfacing subpersonalities, which now I do therapeutically, but then I was doing it as theater. So I was about to come on stage in this lead role, which I was going to really show, because I'm a really kind of good actress. And I was backstage going autistic. I could not walk onto that stage and show my mother that I was manifesting my creative talent, and she'd given up her life for me, and now I had it and she had nothing. So I barely could talk during that whole, it was horrific. So that was part of acting out my contract. Mommy, I won't ever, and this is part of the mother wound, and we deal with that extensively in shadow synthesis too, in that mommy sold out to the matrix. I can't let her know I'm having great sex, or I'm having a wonderful relationship, or I'm fulfilling myself creatively. It'll break her heart. So I sabotage. Every time I almost get anything that would hurt my mommy, I self-sabotage, or it goes south. I'm on the timeline of the mother wound, which is the self-sabotage. It all is just happening to me. I'm not trying to do that. Do you see what I'm saying? The contract is an agreement that's running in the background like trash talk, and it's creating your reality. It's creating your timeline. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. Would you say that it is a good idea to write our cancellations of these agreements and contracts ourselves?
Yes. But then you have to break them. I mean, you can write them. We do more than write them. Writing them is the first step.
But you know, it's good to have something that reminds.
It's great. Writing is a fantastic. Look, if you're, yes, writing, keeping a journal, making things conscious. The truth does set us free. Gaining the true awareness of what's happening. When it occurs, if you can write it down, because in 3 hours you might forget you even had that insight. Writing is really a great thing for a transformation. Absolutely. Yeah, that is the first step we do. We write them down. That's the first step. And then we look at them. And then we go, okay, is this exactly right? Because often we self-sabotage in the writing down, because that part of us is going, oh, no, redirect her, do something else. Don't let her get that right. Because that part, all these different parts of ourselves, every part of ourselves, whether it's working for good or working for evil, everything wants to stay alive, right? Nothing wants to, it doesn't understand it can repurpose. We can repurpose these, remove the negativity, bring back the soul essence. It doesn't have to die. But this is the death of the ego. This is the death of these false personalities, subpersonalities, and they fight us to stay alive. So, and they're full of Kryptos and interference. So all kind of horrible things can happen. I mean, they are serious. You're not going to kill me. Oh, she's getting close. Okay, let's dislocate her back. Done. I mean, it can be that way. And you go, what is happening with me? And then you recognize, the last thing any of us want to face is that this is us doing it to us. We have big stories about how everyone else did it, and they did. And I totally give people space to be victims, because we are victims. There's a time to really, really, really feel that and experience that, and then let it go. And you're never gonna let it go until you really come to peace with it.
And then by reading them out loud, by declaring it, is that how we break the agreements and contracts?
Well, the way I do it now, there are many ways to do this. The way I'm working with Laura Lee's Almarasite rocks. I know this is going to turn off a lot of people. It's not, you don't have to work with these, because these trigger, because the Kryptos hate this. They hate these rocks. And if you have a feeling of wanting to turn off the podcast right now, it's the Krypto that's attached to you or shoved into you that hates this. Because they have consciousness, they've come from off-world, they're our friends, and they help us create what you need. We have healing protocols. We have implant removal protocols that we use the rocks, the eggs, and it's a whole process. Writing it down is one part of it. There are ways to break these things, and there are ways that don't break these things. And there are lots of false light processes out there that don't break them, actually get you into the group so they can harvest your energy and nothing is really happening and you think you're breaking them. So that's another big discussion. Because I've been on this, I'm working with people. I want them to get better. I want them to leave my group. I want them to be done. And they're layer upon layer. And I'm always looking, what is the piece I'm missing? What is the thing that they need now? So we've come up with the forced agreements. We're adding all kinds of interdimensional interference to shadow work. And we're getting much more breakthrough where people can maintain their divine timeline. And it's not like, boom, in 1 weekend you're out. It's like, all right, you're at 20% of your authentic embodiment now. Now we're clearing, we're moving, we're doing the implant removals, we're breaking the contracts, we're clearing, we're feeling, we're processing inner baby, we're clearing ancestors, we're breaking our agreements. Now we're at 50%. Now I'm at 70%. Most of my students are 20-30% have embodied. But there's still part of us that's still stuck in hell, the matrix, the prison. So it's a process of excavating.
Yeah. So I
and you
know
have
that
to manifest your purpose. You have to live. It's not just shadow work, shadow work, shadow work.
no,
You
no,
have
no,
to
no.
build the life. You have to go out, go forth and be the love, because that there's natural law is when we show up in service to ourselves, first and foremost, in a healthy way, not a narcissistic way, and then add service to others and really show up. This is an alchemical act every time you do it. It lifts your frequency onto the timeline that you came here for. So it's not just staring at your navel and screaming and kicking and pulling out shadow at all. It's developing a character that can embody your greater being, which is divine. So the vehicle has to be purified, not in some uptight German perfectionism way.
So, but one thing that I really would like to get across, because I sometimes sense a lot of fear in the comments. And what I will say is, don't think that, yeah, you are too small, you cannot fight the archons, the demons, the demigods, the Kryptos, the whatever. You can stand up to them.
Oh, you can win.
Oh, yeah.
We're in it to win it. We're not just, do you know, this is one of the biggest new age BS crypto trash talk beliefs that keep looping in our reality. That to be spiritual, we don't fight back. Now, I don't believe in fighting back in many ways, but when you fight back with the truth, with love, and with real things, these beings are, we always get the data and we remove anything that's redeemable, and the rocks have consciousness, and they make that call. So the rocks have a collective. So they're downloading all the data of how the dark side's operating, because now is the time we need to take all of this down and out, because it's this is the end game. Their time is over. Guess what? If we don't take them out, they're not going anywhere. Everybody, no, QAnon is not going to save you. Donald Trump is not going to save you. You must save yourself.
No political party will save you.
You must save yourself, and there's a way to do it. And we must not only stand up for ourselves, we must fight, and we must win. And this is so freaky to people. It's like the dark side are master strategic wartime players that they're dedicated, they're on it, they're working 24/7 to harvest your energy. And you just don't want to be a bad person and fight those poor, maybe they'll go to the light. No, they're not going to the light. And if the ones, the process we have, if they're ready to go to the light, they go to the light. Most of them we destroy. We take them to zero. Most of them are digital. This crypto CIA is digital. You can take them out. And if you work with Laura Lee, if you do some of this work with the work we're doing at Rise, you can learn how to heal yourself and become a consummate truth warrior that's actually becoming a part of the solution of taking them out. I'm telling you, I get a lot of flack for even suggesting we can take them out. Like, we're not supposed, oh no, don't do that, it's bad karma. You're not supposed to do anything bad.
I have to say, I did a lot of that stuff, canceling all my agreements, contracts, checking myself, attachments, entities, blah, 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 all that stuff. And that was a long time before I even knew you are there. But I knew one thing, that, and I'm not saying everybody out there is bad. No, that is not what I'm saying, but I did it all myself, because I thought, how do I know that I do not end up with more entities if I make an appointment with somebody?
Well, that's a very good point. I really am sad to say that happens way more than it should.
Mm.
And how do you know
Mm.
who to believe and who to trust? And that makes a lot of people not trust any of us. And that's very sad, but it is true. A lot of some of the more dazzling, rich and famous spiritual figures out there are, they have attachments, they have shove-ins, they have contracts, and they're sending your energy to the dark side to be harvested. Not everybody. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. And
it does happen. However, doing this work alone is a really bad idea. Why? Because our shadow hides in our blind spots.
Yeah.
I can't see my shadow. I have to go to other people. I'm friggin' really good at this, okay? I can see your shadow really good. But I can't see mine because that's how we've been engineered. We can't see it. So we're circling. We can get parts of it, but often the key, you know, like you can break certain parts of the codes, but there's a code within a code. It's like a lock within a lock. And when you get to the ultimate lock, you need that code. And you need to know you didn't get that one, or none of it works. It's tricky. These guys are clever. Okay. And how are you going to heal a broken heart all by yourself? Because really the disease we are facing is chronic brokenheartedness. That's the tricky part. That's why just seeing a therapist is less than ideal.
Because most therapists do what?
Well, when you become a licensed psychologist, you have to take a vow to be impartial. You are not supposed to be subjective. You are not supposed to bring your authentic being into relationship because, oh, you may sleep with them, or I don't know. We're supposed to be, you know, doctors, right? This is the way, you know, nothing. Well, guess what? Love is the healer. They're just repair people for the matrix. They're fixing you so you'll go back to work, so that you'll be functional. They're not there to get you out of the matrix or to help you become free and sovereign. That is not what the system workers do.
No.
You don't get those degrees and you don't stay in their system. They'll kick you out. They will not let people like me in their system. The really radical people that are calling it, we are a direct threat.
Yeah, they fix you so that you can go back and generate revenue.
Yeah, exactly. That's all they're there for. And you know, we think, oh, these are the doctors of the mind. They really understand me. Read my book, Stealing the Moon. It's on the Shadow Synthesis or the Rise Multiversity website. It's all about that. It took me like 10 years of shadow clearing to write that book. And I've had people just jaw dropped open. It gave them such keys. It affirmed the hells they've been living in that they couldn't share with anybody. Because really, a lot of the people that need the help are out there. If they're seeing the straight doctors, I mean, they're not going to get the help they need. I mean, I hate to say that. I mean, I'm sure there are exceptions, okay? There are good people. There are caring people. There are people that want to help. But if they cross the line, they lose their jobs. Okay?
Yeah. We have a lot of stories like, I'm thinking of Osiris, this, you know, chopping up the body and then reassembling it. And yeah, there is a lot of symbology in it. But
that's what happened to us when let's just put it this way. There was a scatter weapon used upon us, especially those of us who are indigos and are here on various rescue missions. That's what they did. She scattered us and put us into this whole hologram so that we couldn't close it down, so that we had to find the pieces of everybody scattered through here. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. All the king's horses and all. Couldn't put them together again. Osiris, yes. All the pieces. That is the process. That is the process of soul reclamation. That is the shamanic process that is deeply embedded in shadow synthesis as well. I know Laura Lee is also deeply into that. It is soul retrieval process of finding, to go all over and find. And then if you don't understand the insidiousness of these spirit traps and these warehouses and these places, for example, let me tell you this, okay? This is so far out. Now, if your chatters are frightened now, I'm really throwing them under the bus. This is, okay.
Go ahead.
This is super woo, okay? And it doesn't mean everybody has this particular one. But because of the aspect of my energy that is a creator goddess, I'm not the only creator goddess. There are more of us. But that means I've, you know, the juicy feminine energy. I got it. And they want it. So they've took it in times of tremendous stress, for which I've had a lot. And they've harvested my energy, and they've created harvest zones, worlds, to grow these implants and these reptiles and these Kryptos. So my energy was being used as like a womb, a world, to birth these dark you-know-whats. And I had to, so my team, you know, we use the rocks, we use the guidance, we go with source connection, we connect with our greater being, the aspects of being that have the higher dimensional powers to resolve this. You have to access that. You don't do this with your mind alone. And, whoa, are they not wanting me to say this? I keep getting knocked off. So they, oh God, yeah, they, wow, now they're pissed. Okay, what was I saying? Any ideas?
You were talking about these warehouses.
Huh? Oh, the warehouse. Yeah. See, we can't harvest ourselves if we don't really see this grade Z movie that they have going on. What's really happening? I mean, we're not just talking a little evil here. We're talking, the D monster, she got off on evil. She got off on torture. The kinds of torture chambers that she developed, the fun she had, the extreme measures of torture, the detail that she went through. None of us that have any kind of source spark could even think of this stuff, to even know where to go to find our soul parts. And that's been one of the greatest blessings of knowing Laura Lee, because I was in on a lot of her war room meetings. I saw the level of what they're doing interdimensionally. And we have to open up our minds to let our guidance tell us, no, you're trapped over there in a spirit trap that's got 40,000 people that they're sucking dry. You know, that when it's located, then we go, we egg it, we clear it, we get the data from it, we break the contract, we break the forced agreement, and we take anything that's decent out, and then we kill it. We bring it to zero. And then we bring... So all of those parts of me, and there were hundreds, and I've been chronic fatigue all my life. I'm getting my mind back. I'm getting my energy back. Look, I'm 73 years old. I am on fire. Why? Because these things are coming back into me. This is the process. This is these parts of me that were stuck in all of that. And I'm no longer supporting that. And that lifts my frequency, because even if I didn't know I was doing that, you know, having most of my energy going as a nursery for horrific beings that are destroying people, that's bringing down my frequency. So this stuff is beyond anything that most decent people could even believe is happening. And this is another reason why we need wise guides that have been down this rabbit hole for decades, who've seen hundreds and hundreds of thousands of these and know what they're up to and know what you're embroiled in, because how are you going to figure all that out if you don't even know those things even exist? And that's why I like coming on your radio show. That's why I like talking about it, because my heart just breaks for humanity, not even knowing why they're suffering. And like Chris Keller, he gets rid of a lot of this crap, and people come back out of MS and out of cancer. And, you know, these things are so embroiled. They're just sucking us on a physical. It's not all. I'm more psychological, paranormal. He's more, generally speaking, curing. Well, he wouldn't say he's curing anything, because you can go to jail for that, right? But these diseases don't exist. He gets rid of this stuff, and these people are better. Let's just put it that way. And the same thing with shadow synthesis. You get rid of this stuff and you're happy and you're light and you feel yourself and you have a life again, and you get to live your life and enjoy your life and give your gifts, which there's no way with all this stuff in us you're ever going to be able to do. And most people can't, unless they do it from a phony or a false light way. They'll let you do that. If you want to be a fake, they'll let you go to those schools and go out and be those healers. I'm not saying I'm the only person on the planet that can figure this out. I hope you are. But I'm saying do this with others if you can, or come join us at Shadow Synthesis or at Rise and get this done, because this is really going to determine the outcome a lot. If even a small amount of people that extract themselves from the matrix create new, I wouldn't call it a program, new possibilities for all of humanity, if you understand that. Like, for example, when we have breakthroughs, it goes into the collective unconscious. We all have access now to what that person did. That person did it. Now it's in our collective. Now we all have it. That's how all of humanity grows, from all the great things that people do and all the crappy things. It's all us. So even if you think, it's hopeless, it's so dark out there, clean it up in here. And it will reflect. They don't want us to know that you healing you can change the collective for all of mankind, but that is the truth.
Yeah, they want you to think that they are the overlords and there's nothing that you can do about it. And oh, yes, you can. You can do a lot.
This is probably the primary belief that so many people have. I mean, even when my students were writing the forced agreements, because they would write them, they would find them and they would write them, and then I would approve them. I go to my guidance and see if those were the real ones, and then they'd break them. So sometimes they would say things like, I will never let anybody know how evil you really are and what's really going on here. And if I ever blow the whistle on any of this, you're going to, take my family from me, and you're going to impoverish me, and you're going to make my life a living hell. Well, that's all true. But sometimes they'd say it in such a way that it was like, wait a minute, you're making it seem like this is the ultimate. These people have the ultimate power. We have none. Game over. Just make the best of it. And that's why our ancestors cut a deal with the dark side, because that, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, was like, just stay under the radar. Just give these guys what they want and just live your little matrix life, because you can't fight these guys. Well, now, and so we have that deeply embedded in our ancestral memory. Do not fight these guys. They are going to win. It's a lost cause. And people like us seem nuts. Like, what? You're crazy. I'm going to do what? You're out of your mind. But more people are waking up. I'm going to do whatever it takes, because people are in hell. They're in psychic hell. They're in physical hell, and they've had enough.
Yeah. And I guess starting there, when you said our ancestors that were afraid to stand up to them and made silly contracts and agreements with them. Yeah, and that way the base program got stronger and stronger and stronger. You are born, you go to school, you grow up, you get
reptilian brain, survival, just survive and get by. Go by the program. And whether it's religion, we are programmed to obey, and we love it. Because why? Also, we don't want to take this level of responsibility. This is serious grow-up time, childhoods, and we're responsible for all of this. Oh, it's much easier. Just take this entity out of me. Just, there's a being that's got a perfect plan for me, and it's all unfolding perfectly. And I don't have to do anything except for be a dutiful slave to this guy. He's taking care of the whole thing. We like that. We like to think daddy and mommy are looking after us. It's so hard to give up. They're not. They do not have our best interest at heart. We have to do this. And this is an act of co-creation. Source, we are source. We're source embodied. Source created us to figure this stuff out because it didn't understand it until it did this. We're co-creating this. We have to do things here that source cannot do. Source is, what is this, a guy called source? I don't want to ascend and go back to the goo, you know, blob, you know, people, oh, I just want to be back with source. I want to be in the unity. I want to dissolve into the hive mind. No, I don't want to dissolve into no hive mind. I want that unity feeling in a frequency. Then I want to individuate and make my contribution as a unique individual in co-creation with the divine. That's why I came here. It's counting on me to get this done. Now, and that is so much for us. I mean, we don't want that. I mean, you know, we want someone else to know. We want someone else to be in charge. And we've let them be in charge. And look what's happened. Now we're having to face, oh my goodness, look who we let be in charge. And people are, I mean, this is a really hard time. You find out that all of the key leaders in the world at the top of the top are pedophiles. I mean, please, you better be doing some shadow work. You better be doing some trauma release. How are you even coping with that reality? Oh, I'll just, no, that's all woo-woo conspiracy. It isn't true. It is true.
Go back to the base program.
So we need these small communities where we can go, where we have some place. This is a lot to cope with. We've been so corrupted, everything, it's so filthy, disgusting, horrific. We need places that aren't going to you know what with us, where we can heal. And they're far and few between. Yeah, I got a text the other day. I mean, you know, I'm older, so I do have some old people symptoms. I had a stroke in my eye last month. I didn't think it was that funny. That scared the heck out. I don't want to go blind. That was like, okay, stop her now. Let's just have her go blind. You know, I had Chris Keller work on it. That helped a lot. And I've had to have a injection, and I'm working on all these levels, and I'm not going blind. I'm getting through it. But they do mess with us.
Yeah. But what I found interesting is, I'm not saying there cannot be serious attacks. Yes, there are a lot of that. But sometimes you will find that if you but it has to be heartfelt. If you really, really laugh at them, because
right on, sister. Right on. Laughter is one of the greatest healing tools we have. They can't stand high frequency. They can't stand love. You can break this crap off of your field. You know, when I first got wind of these Kryptos, I mean, they were the trash talk, you know, oh, they really wanted me to get away from Laura Lee Mystic. I get away, I won't even tell you. You know, day after day. And I would just pull it out, I egg it, and we do this thing where we return to sender. You know, we have a code. It's called Screw You Loser. And we send it back to those who benefit from our suffering with all that they're sending to us to take them. They get it right back in their face. And we take them out, or we just give it back to them. Yeah,
and sometimes
I was going somewhere else. You said laughter. And then, yeah, go on with your life. Laugh a lot. Every chance you get, be happy, be joyous, and be in your heart. And spread the love and create solution. And that keeps you have so much grace. You get into a grace when you show up this way. And it's such a high vibration. They hate it. They hate love. They can't stand that energy.
No.
And then, so little by little, those attacks are less and less. And I'm right on the front lines here. You know, I'm going out here daily and weekly talking this. And I'm still less attacked than I probably ever have been, because I'm navigating this territory intelligently finally.
Yeah.
It can totally, and so I'm totally agreeing with you. It can totally be done. It can be fun, and it can even feel easy. But is it easy? No. I mean, they're still going to slam. We're still going to have to get up. We're still going to have to know nutrition and supplements and natural healing and we're going to have to use every trick in the book to stay our course through this end game. But we can do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for years, for instance, if I go shopping in a supermarket or wherever, I have the habit, I read all the labels.
Good.
And if I detect something that I don't like, it goes back on the shelf. And okay, you have to gather that knowledge, and then after a while, you know it. You don't have to go with your written list, you just go, oh, okay, you go back. So, but that is also, I find it weird that so many people don't want to do that for themselves.
You find it weird? What do you find weird?
That they do not have, they think they do not have the time, or it is not important enough to figure out what substances to avoid in food, chemicals, and so forth. And
they're just killing people, turning them into apocalypse zombies. That stuff is so toxic. And then they need the drugs, and then they need the medicine, and then they need the matrix people that are going to indoctrinate them even further. And it's a horrible thing. You've got to deal with what you put into your body, because they have taken over everything to be a poison. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, we think we're in this beautiful divine universe, which we are, and everything's looking out for us, and there's this wonderful benevolent God, and they gave us school and religion and all these supermarkets and all this because they love us. We got to get, honey, they hate you. They want to eat you. They like that stuff. I mean, I give my dog bones sometimes that are 3 days old. I smell, she's like, give it to me. Different strokes for different folks, okay?
Yeah. I don't want to go into cosmic legalese now, but I sometimes wonder, I think that actually they don't even have jurisdiction here. But they act as if they have it, and we go along with that program. Is there something to it, or am I lost?
You're totally right on.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. They're the criminals. Everything is the opposite, right? Like Alice in Wonderland. Up is down, back is white. Everything is the opposite of what they're telling us. Everything that they've created. The stuff that tastes good makes you sick. The beings that are supposed to heal us are actually killing us in many cases, not all of them, of course. It's just all of that. And that's, again, a part of childhood's end. What? Daddy and mommy are trying to kill me? Really? It's too much to face when you're a little baby, but it's grow-up time. That's what's happening. And it really is hard to face. And that's why people don't want to face it, because they'd have to cry. They'd have to be angry. They'd have to question everything in their life. They wouldn't even know where to be. It's a lot. I mean, in some ways, I'm seeing like rise, and I hope there's a lot more places, is just these safe places where you can go and even start trying to cope with all of this.
Yeah. What about our dream states? I think that is an area where they like to attack as well.
Our what?
Dream states.
Well, one of the things that Laura Lee and I do is we help you get rid of your astral body. Absolutely. They're manipulating the you-know-what out of us in the dream state. Are you kidding? We're just there like, take me. It's a huge harvest zone for them. Absolutely. And getting rid of the astral body helps a great deal. It's not that hard to do.
you know what I did? I have written signs. No abductions of any kind are allowed. No harvesting whatsoever is allowed here. I signed it and it's around my bed.
Well, has that worked for you?
Yeah, yeah. I had.
Yeah, you just say no. You know, people
Yeah.
don't. It works, doesn't it? It works if you work it. Guess what? You get to say no. You
Yeah.
get to say, I'm not going to be harvested tonight. You don't
Yeah.
have to put up with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. The forgotten word. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good on you.
You put a little bit of energy in it and you write it down and you placard it around your bed. So all you fuckers out there, just so that we are clear, none of that is permitted. And they cannot just override it like that. I mean, technically, yes, but
No, they can't actually. They are violating
yeah.
natural law. If you call it out, see, that's it. If you stand in your power, in the truth, and you don't let them in, they have nothing to harvest, or you take a few of them out, they know, oh, you mess with her, you could get taken out. I'll go eat dinner somewhere else tonight. Screw her. They just leave because it's more of a hassle. And if you get all, you know, in a high vibe, like that's so gross for them. They don't want to be around you. They come, you know, they're going to keep trying, but less and less. The more you take them out, the more you say no, the more you show up as your embodied truth, you can have a gigantic shift in the amount of misery, depression, anxiety, and illness you are suffering.
I had experiences where they broadcasted very shitty dreams. And yeah, but only for a while. And then, you know, I stood up and took action.
Good for you. You see, you've got the right energy and this beautiful laughter you keep returning to. You're getting it, girl. You're getting it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And also, I noticed when in the morning when I was taking a shower, I sometimes had these fingerprints, very weird fingerprints on my upper arm. And I knew that nobody really grabbed me hard. Yeah. And I was like, nah.
Well, those can be abduction. We showed that on some of the shows I had with George Cavassalis and Tom Montauk. George might have, or maybe it was Tom's a woman. And yeah, these are classic abduction footprints, handprints,
fingerprints. Yeah. And then I wrote all these signs, and on top of that, I always switch off my router when I go to bed.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Oh, that soup is such a negative field. And of course, they want to embed us in it forever. It's so much easier to take us down when we're in the frequency of these toxic EMFs that are saturating the space fence all around the planet. Yeah, this is a huge piece of the agenda.
Yeah, exactly. And we are catering to it. I mean, I don't have a cell phone. I know it sounds weird, but
Good for you. That would end it in a day, but we're so addicted to them. I mean, especially the children.
Yeah, they are fiddling with their phones 24/7. Some people even sleep next to their phones.
Really bad idea.
Shocking. But yeah, really bad idea.
They are clueless, absolutely clueless of what the agenda is and what these things are doing. It's all getting marketed with all these fun toys. That humanity, first of all, you cut people off from source, you cut them off from themselves, you cut them off from each other, and people are so harsh with each other, and they can't, very few people open and share uncorrupted love. And so it's dangerous to be intimate, and it's painful to give your heart. So if you're just sitting there with your video game, you know, you get all this interaction and there's no risk. involved, other than you're getting absorbed more and more into the hive mind of AI, and you don't even care because we self-medicate with all of these devices.
What do you mean, self-medicate?
Numb out,
Okay.
get distracted, have things we can do so we don't have to feel how hurt we are. And we don't know how to deal with that, or all these scary impositions, or the things that are inside of us, or that we don't even love ourselves, and or we hate ourselves, or all the conflicts inside of us. We just can numb it all out and just play with their tools while they suck our energy dry. Are we having fun yet?
Yeah, or watch TV, or...
Yeah, I haven't done that in so many years.
I don't have a TV either.
No, I haven't done that in decades, but I do like the odd Stargate Atlantis or Stargate, because it's showing you what's exactly going on. Guess what? The Wraith, they're here, honey. Check them out. They have got so much intel in SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis of what's really occurring here. You know, that's how, you know, the dark side has to tell us. And they tell us through Hollywood, they tell us through the media, and they get to say, oh, see, this is just fantasy. Oh, I saw that, but that was just fantasy. Oh, no, actually, they have done some really deep research on those shows. So there are some things worth watching. Not only that, but the momentum of evolution of the collective is also present in the media. It's not all dark. Sorry, people. There are incredible messages and revelations and healing mixed in. Of course, it's really hard to find it within the, but you know, I even looked at somebody from Fox News the other night. He was making sense. Things are changing, people. We can't polarize too much. All mainstream media evil, all movies, no TV. No, this is also, these things have brought humanity together. Look at, you're aware, Germany, I'm in Ecuador. We're speaking to people all over the world. There is a positive force. It is gaining momentum. And you don't have to be afraid of every doctor or every movie either. Use your discernment. And how do you discern? You find it in yourself. What part of me is on the dark side? What part of me is authentic, embodied love? And once you get your own shadows clear, you can see what's going on out there. The fact that you haven't processed your own shadow, it becomes a filter and blinds you to see the shadow in anyone else. These are cultural contracts and agreements. This is the basis of civilization. Don't tell anyone I have a shadow. I won't show yours. We'll all sit here and pat each other on the back in this false BS world and pretend everything's fine, and no one's going to tell the truth.
Yeah,
and that's that's what society is. That's what family is. You play that game, you get to have a good time. You don't, you're the scapegoat, you're in a world of hurt. That's why we need communities too, because most of the indigos are in those families. They have nowhere to go.
Yeah. There's also a TV show that is called The Good Place. I don't know if you...
I saw it. Laura Lee told me to watch it. Oh my, see, that was...
At the very beginning, when they say, yeah, you know, we wipe your mind.
It's right there in your face. They're right there saying, guess what? We're wiping your mind. Oh, but it's just entertainment.
And with SG-1, I found it very interesting when slowly but gradually they revealed all the gods are nonsense. They are all not
That's
gods.
right. They're all harvesting you-know-whats.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
Cursing
And
us till the
soul
end of
harvesting, I guess, is big business. Business in quotes.
It's big business. We are the assets. We're assets in these huge warehouses. We are being bought and sold. And if we're really juicy, here, you can create 25 million universes with Sienna Lea. You can create zillions of your bots. Look at this juicy energy. Look what she came from. Look at her line. Look at, you know, like, boo. And I'm like, you know, chronic fatigue, going to therapists, going to heal all my life, slapping around, I have been chronically ill so much of my life. I have not had an easy life. These things have been sucking me dry. This is the first time that I have felt like, I feel like I'm being reborn. I feel stronger and healthier and younger now than I probably did when I was 50.
Great. And I had an encounter with a nurse, and she had this questionnaire, and she asked me all these questions. Because, first of all, she said, do you take any medication? And I said, no. And then here we go. She had her questionnaire. Then she went through all the medications, the blood thinners, diabetes, any medication you can think of. And I was sitting there like, no, 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 no. And after a while, I said, I do take an aspirin once in a while. Yeah.
But she couldn't believe you, right? They do a double take. You say, well, no, I'm not on any meds. They go, what?
Yeah, exactly. And then after she finished, she looked at me and she said, that is very rare at your age.
Yeah, they got everyone on those drugs, and it's wow. I mean, I do have to take an aspirin too, because what they've been trying to do to me is give me a stroke to take me out. Well, they did give me a stroke in the eye, and I went to the doctor and I found out my body is like making clots. You know, and there can be many factors. You never want to say it's all interference. You always want to cover in nutrition and good healthy supplements, and you want to research all this and do. I mean, if you look at my kitchen, I have like, you know, full of supplements and things I'm taking to shift that situation in 3D. But also, it is just a frequency. I mean, they beam. There's many different ways of psychic attack. You know, they have just a plethora. It's not just being beamed, but if you have a propensity to any kind of genetic weakness or illness, and then you're becoming problematic, they just go in there and activate your weak area and take you down any way they can. Now, 66, from what I mean, I didn't do this research, but I read this. It may not be accurate. It is third-person info. It's at I know, it was Rex Bear, the leak process. He had a guy, it was one of his titles on his show. 66% of Americans are ill and on 5 different meds.
I would imagine that is correct.
That's almost 70% of the population.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not in this to win it for everybody. I know that most people will run away and think I'm this crazy whack job, and I don't care. I'm here for the people with eyes to see and ears to hear that need this, that are ready to shift. We got the tools, we got the community. Come get rid of this crap once and for all. And if it's just small numbers now and just a handful of really amazing people, I'm good with that. I'm totally good with it. I'm not this for the fame, fortune. I'm not even in this for the money. I'm in this from my heart and my own alchemical process. It's one of the most difficult things to put all the pieces in the right place, because I mean, I've been doing shadow work for 40 years. You know, you hit a level, oh, I got it now. I'm done, you know, and then you go off and you're good and you level and you stabilize. And then there's another level, and 40 years of levels. And I ain't still done. I'm still wide open, because everything is shifting so fast. And the interdimensional beings that are helping us, they're not all evil, and every guru is, well, I don't know a guru, but every helper isn't evil. There is massive force of help coming and they're revealing things to us every day. And there's beings that are getting taken down, that are revealing what they did when they were on the dark side. And so the information keeps changing. So like doing this work, you can't like just rest on your laurels like, oh yeah, I'm a primal therapist. I had to dump primal therapy. I still do it maybe for a few days within it. I don't do it as my total gig. You know, every tool that I have, the inner baby work, the interference, you know, they all have a place. But if you make it your total shtick, then you're not really coming up with what people need. They don't need all of it all like that. They don't. Everyone has different needs too. You can't create a course like a cookie cutter and generically just shove everyone through it. I mean, it's tricky because we do have, you know, courses and extra, but individuality is so important. And you have finally getting your process your way. You know, you gotta be open to your students. I don't call them patients. Coming up with their own solution. The whole point is that they become an autonomous sovereign system. And many times I'm learning from my students, and people walk through, and I'm learning, and I have to throw something out, and I can never stay, okay, I got it now. We got it.
No.
This is it, kids. Come on down. You know, like, because every day I have to give up everything I know to be in the present. And it shifts. But some of these things aren't shifting. Like basically what I've said, that hasn't shifted. I mean, that's all until we shift out of it. That cleanup job is still needs to be done. And like I said, not going to be for everyone. Yeah, well, you're going to get flack from this. I'm sure you are, Judith. You're a brave lady.
I don't care. You know, I'm at a point where I don't have time for nonsense anymore. If you don't like this information, please go to the trending site on YouTube. I clicked on it today, and that was really depressing.
You mean what's trending on YouTube?
If I have to say, if that is even showing us the correct numbers. Of course, they show me the stuff from Germany. Yeah, guess what was trending? We are eating sweets that you have never known before. If that...
Oh, give me the link. No.
I mean, if that is true, if that is our collective stage of awareness, good night, humanity.
Well, you know, a lot of that's the mind control coming through the media. They're going to show you this is where we want you to go. Yeah, just escapism, mass delusional. The thing is that humanity has been severed from the ability to live in reality. That's the problem. Because in order to do that, we have to embody ourselves, and we have all of this pain and suffering and interference, and it's so yucky that we just don't want to go there.
Yeah. But I think it is important to recognize that we actually can drop the ball and leave the playing field.
Well, that's the thing. Nobody wants you to shadow dive for the rest of your life. We want to get through this. You can leave the building. Yeah, we're in a toxic prison. Guess what? It is that you get, you know, there are jailbreaks.
Yeah. Yeah. And it starts with taking care of yourself, drinking good water, good food, get some skills under your belt, learn how to cook for yourself, leave that crap away that is deep frozen and you just heat it up. There it starts. And then, study more, learn more, and step by step, you drop the ball and leave the playing field.
Right on. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's what I found to be true.
Yeah. And I guess another good idea is, because since we talked about entity removal and so forth, it's always a good idea to get rid of the parasites in your intestines.
That also have attachments and interlay. They have beings attached to them.
Yeah.
Have you felt that? Have you ever tried to do a parasite cleanse and you felt this horrible energy, was really pissed, and when you finally got rid of them, it had to leave because it could only gain hold in you to the extent that those parasites exist in your intestines. But there is an invisible component to those critters because they're also in position. You really think that, who do you think brought in all that crap?
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone think, oh, just normal. Now I have the flu. Now I have a virus. Now I have oh, just normal. Really? The divine was just bored one day and came up with the most insidious, horrible, painful things just because it's duality. And that's how it is. You know, we have to accept it. It's a dual universe. The great divine wanted us to experience everything so we could choose.
Mm. I have to say, I used to have problems with my sinuses. One thing was I was a flight attendant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, the ozone, that's really toxic.
yeah.
Going up and down.
So that is over, that chapter. But it helped me. It might be different for somebody else. But I had good results with hydrogen peroxide.
Yes.
Plus, I gave up dairy. And ever since that time, hardly any flu. And if something comes along, you know, I used to be somebody that it would drag on and on, sometimes for 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's gone in 4 days.
Yeah, because you found something natural that would kill it. And you took it out. You went in and you found something that has a minimum of side effects that isn't also such a poison that it kills one thing but makes 4 million other, or 5 other things go out on your body, like most of the allopathic situation. The side effects are horrific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But food grade hydrogen peroxide is a miracle worker when used properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can just learn about it, and then you will see how you can use it for yourself. It's all out there. We just have to look. I think that there is no excuse for ignorance anymore. In this day and age, it's all at our fingertips.
That's right. It's grow up time.
Yeah.
You have to take radical self-responsibility. No one is going to do this for you.
Yeah.
But there's so much resource. That's right. This internet is not all evil. My goodness. It's the Akashic record and beyond. Every information in the world is at our fingertips. You remember when there were libraries? You couldn't find this. Remember when you had to go travel to Germany to have a conversation with Judith? That ain't happening. I mean, how long have we even been able to do this? It's so incredible that we can. And it's so positive. There is a positive evolution that is going side by side with all this. Well, it's probably gaining traction. So, we're not there. So we're there. We're actually winning energetically. And that's why the what is hitting the fan everywhere, and it looks so gruesome. But we're in that cathartic turning point where the deconstruction of the old and everything's being exposed, and all the rats are running off the ship, and they're trying to harvest you. But they're going to try everything they can to hold on as long as they can. They're not, I have been bad, I'll go repent. That ain't happening, people. They ain't you. They could care less. They are going to suck on us the last morsel they got. And they have no conscience, and they have no feelings. See, they don't feel this. That's the thing you got to understand. These beings, I think they're mainly mind guys, and they don't have source connection. They're like mind robots that need food. And their main directive is eat. And we're their food. And they took over this planet. And it's so hard to even say that. It sounds so ridiculous. Like, what, are you lost? But it's true. We have to face it. And then go, okay, how do I cure it? It's true. You can go to the funkiest supermarket, and there will be an organic, if you like, I don't drink coffee anymore as of 4 days ago, but I did have to drink coffee for most of my life. And but all of the pesticides and these molds that are in coffee, they're worse than the coffee. So you have to get organic coffee. Well, you can go to supermarket in the United States, 4 million different kinds of coffee, and maybe there's 2 organics, but like you say, they're there. If you take the time to go and look, And then you don't have to poison your body and you can have your coffee.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, but I do drink coffee, but all my life it has been like that. Let's say I spend a lot of time in Kenya. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh. And yeah, hence my funny name, Kwoba. That's a Kenyan name.
I wondered about that.
And so I didn't like the coffee there.
Really? That's famous coffee.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't like the taste. Wherever I went, I thought, you know what? I don't drink coffee for a month. It doesn't affect me at all. I don't care. Some people are like, I didn't have my coffee.
Well, there are some things that coffee give that literally some people desperately need. I was one of them.
Yeah,
it's really good to give up, though. My whole body, the inflammation that is coming down after I gave up coffee was shocking. But I found a different workaround because they had compromised my brain my whole life. So I had to be an intuitive because my brain didn't work. And the coffee, the caffeine, got my brain online. I really needed it to function. But all the poison from the acidity caused my body to get extremely arthritic. So I've found workarounds now, but that may not be true for everyone. You know, everyone's not the same. Something can be good for somebody that's bad for someone else, like even coffee. Nothing, you know, all of these, we're like, that's the other thing. We're so expert addicted. Experts, you know, if an expert says it, we believe it. You know, this whole world of experts, they create a whole new disease, and then they create a whole branch of new experts that will take a ton of money and give you all. And some of them, it's really good breakthrough information. And some of it, you know, you take it, oh, this will be the cure. Then, no, that didn't do anything. This is why we have to get our own compass activated. We need to know what our own truth is. We need to know how to sense what works for my body. And we need to be okay if it's not in style or the trend. I mean, this month it's celery juice. What, next month it's, you know, everyone has to stop coffee. Now it's gluten. You know, they'll put all this crap in something and it'll look like gluten-free. It's full of sugar. You know, it's full of GMOs, but it's gluten-free, you know. And then I've heard, you know, gluten isn't even the problem with a lot of people. And everyone's not allergic to it. You don't have to take it out like it's Roundup. I mean, if they took the Roundup and the glyphosate off of the products, it'd probably do a lot more than stopping the gluten. Although there are some people that are celiacs that they really have to not do gluten. Anyway, it's all fads. It's another way to work us, right? Oh, this is a new industry, you know, the gut health industry. So now there's zillions of people and you feel so vulnerable. Here you are. When, you know, when you're ill with something that the normal doctors throw up their hands or just give you drugs and that doesn't work, you know, you're running around to these experts and you feel so helpless and you're horribly ill. And you're going to often buy this expert and you try that, it doesn't work. And then you try the next expert. Then you try the next expert.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you don't pick up good things from each one of them, but we tend to give them our power away. You know everything. And looking for experts, I think that that's like a sickness spawned from this meme that it's another way of outsourcing to God, parents, religion, experts. It's all the same BS. We have to stop doing it if we want to have lives that are worth living.
Yeah. Even when I was still in the workforce, because I was working, okay, if I felt sick, I had to have a sick leave. Yeah. From the doctor. Okay, so I went to the doctor, but I never took the medication. I always did it myself.
Yeah, I remember I broke my back in a car crash in New Zealand, and their cure was to hold still for 6 weeks in one of their hospitals, which was good. At least they were trying a natural route and not immediately do surgery. But I got extremely depressed and highly toxic. And I started taking some vitamin C. I was constipated. It was horrible. And the doctor came in and said, you know, it's very dangerous what you are doing. You know, you're under my care and you must follow my orders. And for you to do anything else, you're risking, you know, your life. We're taking vitamin C when I was so sick. And they had nothing to help me other than pouring more. You hold still for 6 weeks and your body is full of drugs. Do you know how toxic you get? And this is the condition they wanted me to heal my body in.
Yeah. So, Sienna, to wrap this up, let's get some hope going here. What would you leave as final thoughts for the audience that have the impression they are being attacked, they don't know what to do about it, and I'm all for self-empowerment?
Well, study, learn, educate yourself, and if any of this has resonated, book a session. I have an introductory session. I've tried to keep the price point really low, but not the time point. I just, so I have a inner work community where we do this in small groups, and we do private sessions, and Laura Lee does private sessions, and Laura Lee and I do joint sessions, and we're going to have a webinar December 9th on there's a war on for your timeline. If you want to just put your toe in the water at Rise, go to risemultiversity.org and join the newsletter. Go to shadowsynthesis.com and join the newsletter and put your toe in the water. Just have a look or have a talk or have a session and see. There's, there may be other things you can do. I've spent 40 years trying to get the best tools and techniques and energetics to get this done that I know of. So that's what I'm offering. There's certainly many different people out there and many different approaches. That's what I'm offering. Or you can start reading my book. It's called Stealing the Moon, and I have an audiobook. I'm really proud of that. Did a really good job. It's a journey of a woman trying to heal her shadow, and it's a multidimensional journey, and it goes all the way back to Egypt, Akhenaten, and Nefertiti. And I've had people that were deeply touched by reading that book, and it opened their eyes to what we're talking about here without making a commitment to do anything other than listen to an audio. So you can start there if you want.
Okay. But the thing is, there is not only hope, you can do something about it.
Well, that's the main message.
Saying no, drop the ball, leave the playing field.
Well, you're absolutely right. And this is what they don't want us to know, that we are so powerful, so yummy. So, the human potential is so, from what I understand, can you still hear me? Because now the internet's having a little bit.
Of course, I can hear you.
You can say, hello, AI. Just give me one more second. Wow. Oh, we must have done something good because I think they're knocking my brain off as usual. What was I saying? I was talking about, we were talking about how to reach us and how to have hope and how to,
leave the playing field.
We are, how powerful we are. This is so what they don't want us to know. I was so blown out. I've been in such psychic hell when I finally really using the eggs and the rocks and getting rid of these Kryptos and taking out these warehouses and removing the entities, the shove-ins, the shove-ons, breaking these curses and contracts. All totally doable. They can't do a friggin' thing about it.
Exactly.
Totally doable. This is all going to be a thing of the past.
Yeah.
If enough of you snap out of it and do something. And you don't have to go to the street and become part of the riots. Just work on yourself. It's a beautiful thing. The human psyche, you have superpowers. We lived hundreds of years. We had superpowers. We were telepathic. We were beings of divine love. We had divine source connection. We still do. We can bring back that's who we are. And as you step into this, your DNA shifts back to its original blueprint. You get rid of the distorted overlay, and what's left? The authentic. It's totally doable. That's why they're so freaked out, and they're throwing everything at us to make it look so hopeless. Don't buy into that. Don't buy into it and laugh. Laugh
Good.
as much as you can.
Fantastic last words. So, guys,
Thank you. Yeah.
that was it. Night flight for today with the wonderful Sienna Lea. Everything will be linked below. Take good care of yourselves. Stay safe and sound. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.